May 21st, 2023. We're glad you joined us. We'll be in 1 Timothy chapter 5 in just a few minutes here. More advice from the Apostle Paul to young Timothy. He was training Timothy to take over to be a pastor and evangelist and giving him a whole lot of good advice in these chapters. We'll be in chapter 5 in just a minute. This one on respect your elders and ignore gossip. Yeah, we think God ought to get the glory for his creation. At Dinosaur Adventureland, we're on Rumble. How many subscribers we got there now, brother? 3,500, 4,000. And Genesis Baptist Church on YouTube, we got about 8,000, 9,000. Yeah. And they took our old channel down, never told us why. Anyway, build it back up again. They knock you down, get up again, right? On Odyssey, on a whole bunch more on drdino.com. Let's see, we're on all of these. You can check, if you like, which favorite one. Facebook, how many on Facebook? You know, I've never done Facebook. Do I need to start doing that too now? I'm too old. Somebody's doing it for me. Okay, good. Coming to you live from Genesis Baptist Church at Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. How many have heard Psalm or Proverbs chapter 1 as a song? We'll be talking about that in a few minutes here in our sermon. Consent thou not, my son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not, consent thou not, consent thou not. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. No! How many have never heard that one? We just sang it. Pay attention next time, would you please? Come on, okay. All right, help us to open for free. Join our 777 Club. See, I want to be a member and help them guys win souls. Go to drdino.com, sign up for the 777 Club. We're asking if you can. Give $1 a day. Make any checks to CSE. 31 bucks a month. Take us on as your missionary to the blind and the dumb. Those who believe they came from Iraq. Need some help. We're here to help them. Okay. I don't mean Iraq, the country. I mean Iraq. Okay. I don't see how they drive on their grandparents. Let's see. 18-hour seminar on science and the Bible, 50 bucks, or 3 of them for $100. If you want to give these out to your friends or enemies, please do. My series on what on earth is about to happen, for heaven's sake. After intensive study and real arm twisting, I had to switch to, we're here for the tribulation. We're not here for the wrath of God. They made up the pre-trib rapture idea in 1830, a Scottish girl did. It's not true. I wish it was, but I will cover that in my book and my video series. Okay. DIL, perfect place to bring your youth group, men's group, women's group, retreat. Brother Meister, why are Christians always retreating? Why don't they advance? That's why we're losing, I think. Anyway, perfect place to bring your Awana club, your Boy Scout troop, Old Fogey club, men's retreat, atheist club. Come on down. Come on down. And got all kinds of cool stuff to see in our science center. Bring your science class. Brother Meister, I'm going to surprise you on this one. We talked this morning. He's got a lot of wisdom in that head that I like to get down on videotape before he's gone, another 15, 20 years. I want him to do a series, God's Answers to Man's Problems. So, if you have a problem in life, you'd like to know, what's God's answer to this problem? Send it to the secretary at drdino.com. She'll hand it to him, and he'll add it to the list. You're going to go through the Bible. God's got an answer to every problem man has. We're going to do a whole series on that. We're going to offer it for sale as we get it done piece at a time, probably 5, 6 videos at a time. So he'll be doing that here on our channel. Joe, surprise for you. We'll do it any time he feels up to it. I'm ready to tape another session. So bring your science class. I need some design ideas. Somebody gave me the Buc-ee's shirt. I don't even know what Buc-ee's is, a truck stop or something? Okay. I thought, man, that looks cool. We need Dinosaur Adventureland shirts that look bright, you know, jump out and grab you. Cool. Needs to include Noah's Ark, dinosaurs and humans. We're all together, you know. Needs to include the words, Dinosaur Adventureland, drdino.com, where God gets the glory, and it's free, Lenox, Alabama, any of that. See if you can incorporate that in somehow. They got Buc-ee's all over here. One ought to say Dinosaur Adventureland, and then, you know, free, and you could give me some design ideas, you artists out there. Send them in if we want to get some shirts done. Okay, Dave Farina debated Dr. James Tour. Was it 2 days ago? Did anybody get to watch that? James took him to the woodshed. That was a slaughter. I felt sorry for Dave. I debated Dave once, and we'll do it again anytime, Dave, on Standing for Truth. Because during that debate with Tour, you interrupted him about 8,000 times. With Standing for Truth, they're going to shut off your mic when it's my turn to talk. Your mama never taught you to shut up when it's not your turn to talk, did she? Well, anyway, I'll debate you anytime, Dave. It was on the origin of life. It was fabulous. See, I've always said the evolution theory has really 6 different stages or meanings. You have to get cosmic evolution. Where did time, space, matter come from? They don't want to talk about that. Then you got to get this hydrogen that came from the Big Bang to change to all the other elements. How do you get gold, silver, and platinum out of hydrogen? I'd like to learn that one. Yeah. Then you got to have the stars evolve. They've never answered that one. This one was about organic evolution. How did life get started? Dave, you failed miserably. You made a bunch of guesses, theories. It's not science. It's not observable. Okay. Then we have macroevolution, where an animal changes to something else, and then microevolution. That one's been seen. Variations within the kind. That's all that's been seen. But there's whole videos out there. Life began as clay crystals. That's what Dave was teaching. We got a bunch of clay in our gravel pit. Has anybody seen any of it come to life? I'd like to watch that. Clay and the origin of life. Wow. Look at that. The analytic approach, evolutionary process, energy concentrated on the clay and made the prebiotic soup. Yeah. Dave, even in the debate with James Tour, you're not going to believe it, at 1 hour 56 minutes, he mentioned me. I'm living rent-free in your head, aren't I, Dave? And you're not a professor. You're a really smart fella, I'll have to admit. And you know a lot of good science. But you got some poison mixed with it, Dave. Evolution is not part of science. It's a religion. Stick with real chemistry that you teach very well, and the mathematics and physics that you teach very well. You're good at it. But evolution is not part of it. Anyway, today, May 28th. Is today the 28th? No. Move that up one. 25th, and it should be 21. Never mind. First mistake this year. I made it all the way to May. Oh, gee. Okay. Then we got June boot camp coming up. Let's see. I want to go to slide number. I forgot here. 298. 1 Timothy chapter 5. Rebuke not an elder. If somebody's older than you, be very cautious before you rebuke them. It says, Paul is advising Timothy, don't rebuke an elder. Entreat him, ask him, beg as a father. The private wouldn't go to his sergeant and demand certain things. The son should not go to the father and demand certain things. You come and ask, Dad, may I please go to McDonald's with my friends? Don't rebuke an elder. And the younger men as brethren, the elder women as mothers. Treat the elder, older women, treat them like your mother. The younger as sisters with all purity. Honor widows that are widows indeed. Okay? He said, later in this chapter, chapter 5, he said, against an elder, receive not an accusation, but before 2 or 3 witnesses. Here's Hovind's advice. Don't listen to gossip about an elder or ministry leader without calling in 2 witnesses to hear what they say. If somebody says, hey, did you hear what pastor did? Oh, just a minute. Let me get 2 witnesses over here. We're going to record this, and when we're done, I'm going to send this to pastor. Let him defend himself. I can't believe the rumors go around about our ministry here. They don't ever ask me. And then tell all they said to the leader so he can give a defense. How many of you have ever been falsely accused before and wish you had a chance to give a defense, tell my side of the story? Yeah, okay. Don't see everyone's flaws. Don't listen to everything you're told. Don't speak if it's not kind. Always look for the good in people. There's always something you can find that's good about somebody. Okay, remember, great advice Thumper's mommy gave him in the movie Bambi. If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. Shut up. Hovind translation. Okay. If the people that know you the least, it's the people that know you the least that judge you the most. Boy, that's the truth. Brother Meister, how long have you been in the ministry? 60 years? Have you seen people judge Christians wrongly and all the time? Isn't it incredible? The Bible talks a lot about the elders. Rebuke not an elder. 3 times in 1 Timothy. So Paul is telling Timothy how to treat an elder. Peter talked about the elders in his books. John talked about the elders. Be careful. Don't rebuke an elder. You just let God take care of it. Elders, let's see. The elders which I among you exhort, who am also an elder, and a witness to the sufferings of Christ. Paul said, I'm asking the older people in this crowd to do these things, because I'm older people too. Respect your elders. How many of you were taught that as a kid? That's just normal standard training. It used to be, not anymore. Respect your elders. Learn from people who've walked the path before you. Respect them, because someday, and sooner than you could ever imagine, you're going to be old too. Amen. Treat your parents with loving care, for you will only know their value when you see their empty chair. Boy, that's the truth. Man. Thou shalt rise up, back in the book of Leviticus, thou shalt rise up before the hoary head. It means when an older person walks into the room, stand up. Does anybody remember when kids used to do that? Older person comes in, stand up, hold the door for them, pull out their chair, give them a seat. The hoary head. Hoary head's mentioned 4 times in the Bible. The hoary head means gray hair. The hoary head is a crown of gold, if it be found in the way of righteousness. Some people are old and wicked and have a gray head. That don't mean they're, but if they're found in the way of righteousness, it's a crown of glory. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves to the elder, he said in 1 Peter chapter 3. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother. Why? That it may be well with thee. Watch this. That thou mayest live long on the earth. Verse 2. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise. There are 10 commandments given back in the book of Exodus. The first one that has a promise attached to it is the one about honor your father and mother. Honor your father and mother. Why? That thy days may be long upon the land. God promised you honor mom and dad. He'll let you live a long time. How many of you would like to live a long time? Honor your father and mother. Yeah, okay. In the 10 commandments. The children now love luxury. They have bad manners. They have contempt for authority. They show disrespect for elders. Children are now tyrants, not servants in the house. They contradict their parents, and they tyrannize their teachers. Who on earth said that? Socrates in 400 BC. I guess they had the same problem back then, didn't they? Okay. Socrates, let's see. It's still a common complaint today that children don't respect their parents. Now, the commandment is to the children to respect them. Parents, if they choose not to do that, I don't know for sure you can solve the problem other than don't pass that on to the next generation. Proverbs chapter 4, Solomon said, "Hear, my children, ye children, the instruction of a father, and attend to no understanding. I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law." He said, "I was my father's son." Solomon talking about his dad, the mighty warrior King David. And when Solomon became king, the Lord appeared to him, said, "Solomon, what would you like? I'm going to grant you a wish." He said, "Lord, I need wisdom. I'm going to be the king of a whole nation. Lord, would you please give me wisdom?" God said, "Solomon, you could have asked for money. You could have asked for a long life. You could have asked for no wars against your enemies, peaceful times. You asked for wisdom. Solomon, I'm glad you did that. Tell you what, I'm going to give you all the rest of it too. Long life. I'm going to make you the smartest man that's ever lived." Solomon wrote the book of Proverbs. Lots of good wisdom in there. Solomon taught his boys, "Children, listen to the instruction." Probably had a lot of boys. He had 700 wives and 300 porcupines. Who knows how many kids he had? Probably a bunch, okay? Fathers, what an amazing invention God made, the family. See, my dad taught me thousands of things that shape my life to this day. He taught me respect for elders. He taught me how to work. Taught me not to waste time on dumb things. He taught me there's different kinds of workers. You know, he said, "Son, learn everything you can learn. Learn everything." He taught me electricity, how to build a house, how to wire a house, plumbing, construction, built the house from the ground up. We'd sit there and design it ourselves, build it. Taught me all, roofing. I've done it all. By the time I was 18, I could build a house. He taught me how to spend money wisely. He said, "Son, there's 4 things you can spend your money on." By the way, still are 4 things. Down at the bottom of the list, the worst place to spend your money is things that last a few minutes. How many of you have ever spent your money on something that lasted a few minutes, like food, and 6 hours later it's gone? A thrill, go to Disneyland, you know, and wow, we got thrilled, and then it's gone, right? Things that last a few minutes are not a good investment. You got to have some once in a while, but it's not a good investment. Then you can spend your money on things that last for years. Furniture, clothes, a car. Much better than Pepsi and Snickers, okay? Much better. Then you can spend your money on things that last a lifetime. House, property, education. See, once you spend all that money and get that education, nobody can take it away from you. You got that the rest of your life. How many medical doctors go to school for 8 years and study hard and spend a fortune and come out with an MD, and now they can make a bunch of money the rest of their life? Yeah. Or you can spend your money on things that last forever. Now you're talking. Now you're getting things that'll really, that's where you ought to spend your money. He taught me the difference between active and passive income. We talked about that this morning. Active income, you go to work, you get paid. You go to work, you get paid. You don't go to work, you don't get paid. Most people have a job like that, and that's all they can think about. He said, son, there's also passive income. You work really hard one time and get paid the rest of your life. Buy an old house, work really hard for 3 months, fix it up, remodel it, and then rent it out for the rest of your life. Oh, passive income. Work really hard and write a book. I've written 67 books now. Work hard, write a book. Help, are you being brainwashed by your science book? Help, I'm being taught evolution in my biology textbook. I worked really hard on each of my books. I've done a lot of research, and now I can sell the book the rest of my life. Passive income. I worked, I don't know how many bazillion hours producing the video series, and it's brought in all the income for the ministry just about for the last 30 years. What do you have in the way of passive income? Each one of you, especially if you're a Christian, ought to think of something that you really feel called and like to do, and make a book about it, make a video series, do something, get some passive income. If you like butterflies, become the world's expert on butterflies and make a video on it. There's things you can do. And my dad taught me so many things like that. It says, the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and they served Balaam. The children of Israel did evil. They did evil again. They did evil. They did evil. These guys didn't get it. They did evil again. They did evil again. They didn't follow the advice of their dads. Or maybe they were following. Some of them, there was a wicked king, and his son became wicked. You follow it through the book of 1st and 2nd Kings. It's amazing. They didn't learn a thing. They did evil. They did evil. It's all through the Bible. They did evil. They did evil. They did evil. They did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. It was in there a whole bunch of times. Asa did that which was right, just like his father David. Whoa, whoa, whoa. King David was a godly man. Now, he messed up a couple times, really bad, okay? But he knew how to say, God, I'm sorry. He wrote Psalm 53 to say, God, would you forgive me? I'm sorry. If you've messed up really bad, how many of you have ever done something really stupid in your life, okay? Really dumb, okay? Hey, tell God you're sorry and move on. Get going again. Get up. The race ain't over yet. Asa did that which was right, just like David. He did that which was right, but not like David. This is a different guy. He did all the things that Joash, his father, did. He followed his father's example. Not the best example. He did that which was evil, just like his father Manasseh did. Some people follow their dad's example. Now listen up. Listen. If you did not have a mom or dad that taught you good things to help you make it in life, I had a great mom and dad, okay? Maybe you didn't have that. Listen. If your dad spent all his free time drinking beer and watching grown men fight over a ball, or just plain did evil like lots of dads in the Bible did, listen up now. Break the chain, and you ask God to make you the perfect dad. See, my dad's dad died when he was a teenager, 16, after a long lingering illness, tuberculosis. He didn't get to teach my dad much of anything. My dad came home from Marines, World War II, had 3 boys, I'm number 3, and a daughter. He said, I'm going to teach my boys everything. But he didn't know. He'd go to the library and read a book on how to build a birdhouse and come home, hey boys, we're going to build a birdhouse, come on down to the shop. We did not know he was keeping just ahead of us. So if your dad messed up, listen to me, shut up, you fix it for your kids. Quit blaming your mom and dad. I don't know how to change the oil in my car. Well, Google it and learn how, okay? Listen up. Teach that boy to mow the grass and how to check the oil on the lawnmower and how to sharpen the blade. If he doesn't know that by the time he's 8, you're a failure, Dad, okay? Teach him this stuff, okay? Listen up. Teach that boy how to help old people in need. You see old people carrying a bunch of groceries out to the car and stop. Oh, hey, let me help you, ma'am. Does that thought even enter your mind? Teach your kids that stuff. Listen up. Teach that boy how to replace the fan belt and check the transmission fluid, and especially the wobbleator shaft and the muffler bearings and the high-speed Knudsen valve. Be sure to check that, okay? A kid that knows how to do things has self-confidence. He doesn't need to show off to impress his friends. How many kids get hurt, sometimes permanently, doing dumb things because they're trying to impress their friends? Because they don't know how to do anything else. Oh, look at this. Look at all the tattoos I got. Are you impressed? You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. God told his children, the Jews, in Leviticus, don't get a tattoo. Now that's for the Jews, I understand, but that shows God's attitude. Your body's the temple of the Holy Spirit. It's not your choice. My dad, Marine Sergeant, World War II, fought 4 years in the Pacific on scores of different islands. His job was to get in when they took the island, set up a radar base to watch for counterattack. Well, guess who the Japs wanted to kill first? Those guys. He was a sergeant in charge of the whole platoon, setting up radar bases on these islands as they took them. He was an electronic genius. He came home the only survivor of his platoon. He never got a tattoo. Most of the Marines did. He didn't get one because he saw that Bible verse, don't get any marks in your flesh. He said, oh, well, God must not like it. I'm not going to do it. No tattoos. He taught me that also. Never got one. Let's see, tattoos. Tiny tattoos, 50 to 100 bucks. Small ones, 50 to 250. Large sleeves, oh, tattoo the whole arm. Anywhere from $650 to $8,000. World's most expensive tattoo. Let's see, where was the price on this one? $924,000. That's going to look real good in the casket. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. Yeah, but all my friends are doing it. So? See, a kid that has self-confidence, I don't need to impress you. Man, I know how to fix my own car. I know how to polish my own shoes. I don't need you. Some kids, all they know is how to push buttons and play video games. That's it. They're stupid in every other area. They couldn't change a light bulb. Boy, they know how to chase a video man around the screen, though. Oh. Solomon exceeded all the kings of earth for wisdom, riches, and for wisdom. Wisdom mentioned a bunch of times in the Bible. Paul is telling Timothy how to be a good pastor and how to teach his people, how to teach his dads to be good dads. The wisdom of Solomon, the wisdom. I was raised to show respect. I was taught to knock before I open a door, to say hello when I enter a room, to say please and thank you, and to have respect for my elders. I'd let another person have my seat if they need it. I'd say yes, sir, and no, sir, and help others when they need me to, not stand on the sidelines and watch. I'd hold the door for the person behind me and say, excuse me, when it's needed, and to love people for who they are, not for what I can get from them. And most importantly, I was raised to treat people exactly how I would like to be treated by others. It's called respect. Respect your elders. They made it through school without Google or Wikipedia. They deserve something just for that, don't they? Yeah. Paul said, Timothy, if any widows have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home. So if a woman's husband dies, she's a widow now, then the children or nephews ought to take care of her, not the government. And to requite their parents. Requite. What does that word requite mean? Let's see. Requite means to make return for something done or felt in a similar or appropriate fashion. Children should take care of their parents the way the parents took care of them. As they get older, that might even include changing diapers and fixing their meals for them. Didn't Mama do that for you? Okay. Requite. Washington Examiner. America's welfare system is a mess. It should not even exist, folks. It's not the government's job. Can you guess how many welfare programs the federal government runs? 5? 10? 50? More than 80. 80 federal welfare programs, none of them constitutional or biblical. None. Benefits and services for low-income individuals, spending $1 trillion a year. It doesn't even include many programs at state and local level. Over $1 trillion of taxpayer money goes to welfare programs. The poverty rate is right where it was 50 years ago. Nothing's changed because it doesn't work. See, the Bible says in 2 Thessalonians, if you won't work, you don't eat. Paul said, we came to you and preached in your church. We didn't eat any man's bread for nothing, for naught. We wrought, we labored. Paul was a tent maker. He was a missionary. He'd go to town, start witnessing to people, but also set up shop and start making tents to sell them. He's provided for himself. Are you providing for yourself? Or are you waiting for somebody else to provide for you? If any would not work, neither should he eat. It's real simple. That's God's welfare program. Oh, you don't want to work? Okay, no problem. What am I going to have for supper? Oh, I don't know. Go find something. Yeah. If any would not work, neither shall he eat. He said, she that is a widow indeed and desolate, trusteth in God, and continueth in supplications and prayers night and day. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. And these things give in charge. Timothy, charge the people. These things I'm telling you, Charge them to do it, that they may be blameless. If any provide not for his own, if you don't take care of your own family, and especially those of his own house, he's denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Are you taking care of your family? Dads? Are you getting residual income? What if you die? Would they be taken care of? Talked to a guy one time, Texas. I said, what do you do for a living? He said, nothing. I said, I need a job like that. He said, well, over the last 20 years, I bought 20 homes, fixed them up, I rent them all out, I get income from 20 people. He said, a lot of people work awful hard so I can do nothing all day and go fishing if I want. Think about it now. What income do you have if you stopped working? Do you have anything? Have you produced anything that anybody would want to buy? Have you? Does anybody want what's in your head? Maybe not. Let not a widow be taken into the number under 60 years old. It's got to be at least 60 to get on this is the church welfare program. The widow cannot have children or nephews to take care of her. She has to be 60 years old, having been the wife of one man, well reported of for good works. Everybody talks about her and says, oh, Grandma so-and-so, she's a good worker. If she brought up children, if she lodged strangers, if she washed the saints' feet. We don't think about that these days because we have cars and blacktop roads, but when you just walk 20 miles on a dirt road to get to the church, they had somebody to wash your feet. If she have relieved the afflicted, if she have diligently followed every good work. But the younger widows refuse. When they begun to wax wanton against Christ, they will marry. He said, don't start a welfare program and take on younger widows. Why? They're going to start looking for a husband. Not that that's bad, but they shouldn't be on the church welfare roll, okay? Having damnation because they cast off their first faith. Wanton, what is that? Lascivious or promiscuous, especially used of women, exciting or expressing sexual desire. He said they will learn to be idle. See, when you give somebody a welfare check every month and they do nothing except wait for the mail to come, they learn to be idle. They learn to do nothing. They get good at it. Wandering about from house to house, not only idle, but tattlers and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. Learn to be idle, tattlers, busybodies, speaking things they shouldn't be talking about it. Especially if you're talking about an elder, a ministry leader, and you're not having 2 or 3 witnesses and you're not getting them a chance to respond. That's what happens when somebody, oh, I don't need to work today. He said, I will that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. Gossip is a very dangerous tool. We should be more wary of the gossiper and not the gossip they're trying to relay you. When somebody says, hey, did you hear? Be careful of that person because they're going to do the same thing about you when you're not there, okay? When a toxic person can no longer control you, they will try to control how others see you. Have you noticed that? Misinformation will feel unfair, but stay above it, trusting that other people will eventually see the truth just like you did. Will Rogers. Brother Meister, you remember old Will Rogers, a long time ago, Cowboy Wisdom? He said, you should live in such a way that you would not be ashamed to sell your parrot to the town gossip. A lot of wisdom in that. Yeah, okay. He said, some have already turned aside after Satan. If any man or woman that believeth have widows, let them relieve them. Look, if your mom is desolate, it's your job, son. You should provide for her. Build an apartment on your house. Let mom come live with you. Feed her house. It shouldn't be the role of the government to take care of that. If any man or woman believeth have widows, let them relieve them, and let not the church be charged, that it may relieve them that are widows indeed. See, God said to Adam, back a long time ago, he said, Adam, you blew it, son. You ate off that tree. You shouldn't have done it. Because thou hast eaten of the tree, which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground. What's the next 3 words? For thy sake. Adam, I'm going to put a curse on the ground, and this is for your good, son. Now you have to work for a living. Hard work all day is one of the best things that keeps you out of trouble. How many of you ever got invited to go get into trouble, but you're just too tired? You've been working all day. I'm sorry, I can't go with you today. I'm too tired. Yeah. Best advice, teach them kids to work hard for thy sake. He said, in the sweat of thy face, thou shalt eat bread. It's the best thing. Hard work is good for you. Adam, I'm doing this for your good, for thy sake. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor. A person who's a good leader, a good pastor, a good ministry leader, and they should be counted, they should get double paycheck. We don't do that around here, but we should. No, especially those who labor in the word and doctrine. For the scripture saith, thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn. The laborer is worthy of his reward. Against an elder receive not an accusation, but before 2 or 3 witnesses. Them that sin rebuke before all. See, part of the pastor's job is to rebuke. That's every parent's job. No, son, I told you no, don't do that. How many parents ever had to rebuke your children for something, okay? Don't touch that hot stove, right? That others may fear. I charge thee before God and the Lord Jesus Christ and the elect angels that thou observe these things. Timothy, I'm telling you, I'm charging you, you should observe these things without preferring one before another, doing nothing by partiality. Don't be partial. Lay hands suddenly on no man, neither be partaker of other men's sins. Keep thyself pure. Then he said, verse 23, drink no longer water, but use a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine often infirmities. People say, see, Brother Hovind, the Bible says it's okay to drink wine. Now look what he just said. There's 2 theories about this. He's telling Timothy, drink grape juice instead when you travel, because you go to city after city after city, they got different well water, and you're going to get different bacteria and diseases, and your stomach is going to get upset drinking water from different cities. How many have traveled and noticed the water tastes different in different areas? Oh, yeah. Man, I was flying all over the world, preaching 900 times a year, sharing my seminar. I've been in, 37 countries to preach. Just drink something other than their local water. That's one theory. He told him to drink grape juice. Maybe he's telling him to drink a little alcoholic wine like NyQuil as a medicine. I've never tasted alcohol other than NyQuil. It's okay. It's a medicine, but it's not a steady drink. He said, use a little wine. Okay? Who hath woe? Who hath sorrow? Who hath contentions? Who has babblings? Who has wounds and don't even know what happened? How'd you get that scratch on you? I don't know. Who has redness of eyes? They that tarry long at the wine. The ones that get drunk. I don't know. How'd you get hurt? I don't remember. You want sorrow in life? Start drinking. It'll bring it. He said, look not thou upon the wine when it's red. So apparently there's a time when wine is not fermented, and it's okay to drink it. We call that grape juice. I read all this as a teenager and said, I'm just never going to touch it, okay? When it gives its color in the cup, when it moves itself aright. See, the Bible word wine can mean unfermented or fermented wine. So I looked at it carefully and read it and said, well, 16-year-old Christian, I searched the scriptures best I could and decided I just would never touch it. Never tasted alcohol. Simple question. How much money have I saved? We won't call any names here, but how many of you spent more than $1,000 on beer or alcohol in your lifetime and wish you had that 1,000 back? Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? How about more than 10,000? How about more than? I picked up a guy one time, he said, you mind if I smoke in your car? I said, well, yes. He was hitchhiking. I said, yes, I do. I don't want the smell in here. I said, what do those things cost? He told me the price. I don't remember what it was, but I got my calculator out, typed in the price. I said, how many do you smoke a day? He said, 2.5 packs a day. I said, times 2.5. I said, you do this every day? He said, yeah, every day. I said, times 365. I said, how long have you been doing this? He said, 15 years. I said, times 15. I showed him the number. I said, sir, you spent enough money to buy 2 brand new Corvettes. Could have bought 30 Volkswagens, Hondas, Toyotas, mopeds, skateboards. Nope. You decided to buy a Cloud instead. And now you're standing out here with your thumb out asking me for a ride because you couldn't get your Cloud started this morning, could you? Mm-hmm. How much money have I saved, okay? How many problems have I avoided by not ever touching that stuff? Has it hurt me to not taste it? No, not at all. Some men's sins are open beforehand, Paul said, going before to judgment. Some men follow after. Likewise, the good works of some are manifest. You can tell ahead of time it's a good person. And they that are otherwise cannot be hid. See, here's Matthew Henry's commentary on that. I highly recommend, if you don't know what a verse means or a passage, read what Matthew Henry said about it. He wrote in the 1700s, genius on Bible doctrine stuff. The apostle gives rules to Timothy, and in him to other ministers, reproving. Ministers are reprovers by office. That comes with being the job. If you're the minister, you got to reprove folks. Pastor's got to say, look, you can't do that at my church. You can't do that at this campground. I've had to tell several people, look, if you like this habit, we're not saying you can't take drugs, you can't take alcohol. You just can't do it on this property. Here, let's come stand out on the street. Now, do whatever you want. But you can't come here and do it. Real simple. Doesn't the county have the right to decide how fast you can go on their roads? I mean, it's their road. They own the property. They built the road. They can put up a speed limit sign. You know, there's no speed limit at Dinosaur Adventureland? Really? You can go as fast as you want on private property. Don't racetracks do that? What's the speed limit? Indianapolis 500. There's none. Ministers are reprovers. It's part, at least provoking, though the least pleasing of the office. They're to preach the word, to reprove and rebuke. That's the minister's job. Okay. 1 Timothy chapter 5. Paul said, Timothy, I got some advice for you, son. Do these things, and I'm charging you. You be sure you do them. Yes, sir, Paul. Thank you. Now, if you did not have a dad that taught you good stuff and made you a good young man or woman, break the chain. You be the best for your kids. Change. When we stopped at the ant pile 2 weeks ago, had a youth group there, a bunch of boys. I cut a piece off the ant pile. I said, watch these ants. Instantly, they all scramble and get to work, all of them. Nobody has to tell them what to do. I say, if you always have to be told what to do, you are dumber than an ant. You really are. You're dumber than an ant. Nobody tells them what to do. I said, now, boys, if you started a business, lawn mowing, car washing, anything, any business, and you hired 10 kids exactly like you to work for you, your company consists of 10 people just like you. How would your company do? One kid said, man, I'd be in trouble. I said, well, then go work on the guy in the mirror. So good advice. A wise dad gives his son lots of good advice. My dad taught me about torque and torquing down. He said, son, that Volkswagen engine, it'll handle a certain amount of torque. Beyond that, it's likely to strip or break the metal. Taught me the different hardness of metals when I was 16. Has your dad ever taught you that? Well, if not, then Google it. Read a book about it. Okay. All right, any questions or comments here? We're going to eat today. Come join us. If you got ideas for the shirt, let me know. And if you want to buy a good Jeep, we got a really fancy one that's way too fancy for this gravel pit, so we need to sell that $28,000 Jeep. It's a 6-speed manual. Can you imagine me taking the tour with that? How many times would I have to shift gears? I stop and start about 80 times. It's a beauty. Did you put pictures up on the website about it? Billy, did you?
Google Maps.
Google?
Google Map.
Google Map?
Yep.
Got a picture of the Jeep?
Yep.
On a map?
A DL. Yep.
I don't know what Google Map is. Okay.